Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Houston and Sean podcast. This is Houston, my good friend. He is pretty much the host of the show. I'm just his crony. I'm his sidekick, somebody he can talk at. I'm Sean, and we hope you enjoy this show and be very entertained throughout the entire process of it. You can see that Houston he has the background of the globe,
It's,
which
the computer only gives us like five backgrounds.
according to flat Earth theorists, this picture is just completely inaccurate.
And by the way, the flat Earth people were the right ones, right? And that whole thing.
I mean, we really don't know. I mean, I
And
have
that's
to sort of take the word for,
if
science in the universe that it looks like this.
no, if Earth was round, we'd be rolling down it all the time. It doesn't make any sense. We would just constantly be rolling because we live on a big globe.
Yeah, I mean, until they send me to outer space, I really cannot say for sure that it's round and globe-like, like they're saying.
It's not. It's gotta be flat. And then when you
It's just
reach the
flat,
end, the boat can like fall off of the
right?
end.
Right? Yeah,
Right?
we
Because
don't.
I
Yeah.
remember this was a whole controversy, and I thought that the flat Earth people were right. Right?
I think they're right. I
Okay.
certainly, when I look out at the horizon, it just looks flat to me.
You gotta be careful because they could like take us down for misinformation. Just for
Yeah.
the record, I don't think the Earth is actually flat. It was a comedy bit. Please don't take us down for disinformation.
Well, that's all good and fine if people are still watching, but they probably just heard what we were saying and left, logged off.
Yeah, a bunch of people, are fans who, they liked us until they found out we believed in a flat Earth theory.
I am drinking, it's a lemon drink, not lemonade, folks. I bought a lemon and I chop it up, I stick it in my blender, and I put a bottle of water in. That's it. That's what I'm drinking.
Nobody had to know any of that. Nobody had to know what was in that glass.
It's just the
You
truth.
said this is no. Nobody needed to know that.
Very acidic, kills all of the germies.
That's what. It's just a drink, man. Like
All
nobody
right,
needs.
and next up on the show, I'm going to share my screen and going to introduce Houston to a song. I tried to do it on text message, but I know he hasn't looked at it yet, so I'm just going to share it. Share sound, optimize video sharing. That sounds good. And then it says, "Yeah, let's do this. Here, download smart virtual backend." Oh, what the?
Here we go. Here we go. Now Sean's gonna have all the tech. First of all, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, watch. Wait, wait, hold on. I want to see. Okay, I think yeah. Okay, let's see what this looks like. This is just me. And then like, where is you? Oh well, that's fine.
Here
That's
we
all.
go. Here we go. Sean's already hijacked the show, and now since he's done that, he screwed it all up.
Okay.
Now he's giggling. You look like a 10-year-old.
I'm about to show the coolest song ever. It's called Lime Tree Arbor.
No, we can't do copyrighted music on a podcast
Why?
because
Nobody's
it's a
gonna care.
podcast. They'll take it down. You can't play copyrighted music.
Oh, fine, I'll
No,
sing
you
it.
can't. You can't.
Fine, I'll just sing it for people.
You sing a little bit of it, and then like
Down in the lime tree arbor. Do do do. The man boatman on the lake. Do
I was
do.
gonna listen to it till you started singing. Now I'm like, I don't want to hear that. No, here's what happened. Sean recommended me a song and he sent it to me through text. And he said, if you're into Johnny Cash, you'll like this because I've been obsessed with Johnny Cash for it's starting to die down a little bit, but you know. And he said, "You said this is Johnny Cash like Nick
It
Cave."
is. He has a baritone voice, deep, deep voice. But I really like the song. I don't like all of his songs, but I do like that song. Lime Tree Arbor. It's Nick Cave.
Lime
So
Tree Arbor.
yeah, and he has a band. I forget the band's name though. I met a character once. He was a saxophonist, and I played music with him for a little bit. But he recommended the song. He was cool, also a little bit like, that kind of guy.
I don't know what that means, but all right. He
But
was
he had a sleeve which was just a musical sheet, a sheet of musical notes.
a tattoo sleeve on his arm.
Yeah, of like 4/3 timing or something, some random timing, 3/3, I think it was.
Could you ever read music?
Yeah, I can read music, but I can't read it fast.
I
But
could
I understand how you read it.
a bunch of dots and squiggles. And I always thought those composers were just making stuff up in those little books. And composers are also just making it up. I mean, all they do is wave the two sticks in the air and go back and forth like that. They're not really doing anything. They're just making it up as they go along.
Yeah. It's certainly talking about the conductor. Yeah, he has a very random job. He's not actually producing music. He's just dancing in front of him. It looks like he's kind of dancing, like, and he gets all excited, and then he's slow and passionate. And I guess you have to, like, as a musician, they're watching him, so, you know, they have to be completely in sync, and then he's just up there like,
No, I told you they're just making it up as they go along. I could do that. I could get up on a stage and do that.
you should.
And they think they're all like good and stuff just
What
because.
what we should have a experiment where like people already know Mozart or whatever. There's a pianist, and then they just have you get up there and see how it sounds. Probably sounds exactly the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
Whatever you end up doing up there.
I mean, it's like drummers. All they do is go, come on,
Yeah.
come on, come on, guys. I could do that.
The drums are the most I feel like they're the most caveman-esque of all the instruments.
Yeah, I never could really, aside from the keyboards here and there, I'd never played the drums. I have a drum machine, but that doesn't, so I can kind of do rhythms a little bit. I think I have good rhythm, but I've never tried the drums. Maybe that's the
Mm.
one I should have tried.
It is caveman-esque. I mean, really, I can see that cavemen would do that. It's like, here, there's a stick. Let's do it. Here's two
Yeah,
sticks. You're a drummer.
pretty much. I mean, that's how they made music back then. They just had sticks. Very sad.
I started reading a book called A Brave New World. Have you ever read it?
No.
It's dystopia. I like it. Very, very odd plot of this man. And Aldous Huxley, like, he's like a Timothy Leary type of a character, at least as far as I understand, which I don't understand a lot about the author. But
I've heard of Aldous Huxley, but
mm,
I always got that name always sound. You said he's like Timothy Leary.
I, I I I feel like when I was in college and I was sort of hanging around the group that cared about Timothy Leary and that sort of stuff.
In course, in college, you meet a group of kids who are into Timothy Leary. That's the only time anyone cares about Timothy Leary is in college.
True.
That's
And
it
Aldous
happens
Huxley. And
it's
I
the
feel like
sixth
the
grade.
Aldous Huxley was with, part of that, that group. And Tool, the band. They all also like Tool.
I was watched
And they're the best ever of all the people.
my stepsister was obsessed with Tool.
Mm.
Ray. I never I don't want to talk about Tool. Feel like we did that already. I was going to go somewhere with this. Oh, I watched the
Think,
beginning of
Houston. Think,
huh?
think.
the beginning of a
Think.
documentary about Bob Dylan. And
Okay.
I don't know if we've talked about Bob Dylan on here, but he kind of comes off in the documentary like kind of a douchebag. And I never was a fan of his music. I tried to get it and I just can't.
Hmm.
And then they're doing that movie about him with
Right, I
Timothy
saw it.
Chalamet. What are your thoughts on Bob Dylan?
I liked the movie,
Oh,
and
you
I
saw
didn't.
it.
Yeah,
How did they have Johnny Cash? Was he funny in the movie? Was he
he
like
wasn't. He was inconsequential, and I thought they
inconsequential?
displayed him incorrectly. They sort of displayed him with a jock character, and I
Right.
just don't see that as Johnny Cash. He was like
It's
jock and cool and big.
and I just watched this other footage of Johnny Cash and Bob Dylan in real life.
Hmm.
And Johnny Cash in the footage is obviously on speed and he's
Hmm.
obviously drunk. And he's just talking and then he kind of hits Bob Dylan, like taps him really hard on the chest. And Bob Dylan kind of grabs his chest like, ow. And I just thought like that made me I like thought that footage was great. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Take
didn't
that,
like
Bob
Johnny Cash
Dylan.
in the movie. They did have him effed up at the end. At the end of the movie, Johnny Cash is clearly on drugs and stuff. But even still, I don't think the actor was a good representation of
Is
what I picture Johnny Cash. I
is
think Joaquin Phoenix was good.
is he in the movie more than one scene or is it just one
Yeah,
scene?
he's with throughout the movie. You see
Oh,
Johnny.
really? Okay, I might go see it now, actually.
Yeah, and they have and another really important character played by Edward Norton is if I can think of that musician. He's a really big 60s folk guy.
James
Uh,
Taylor.
nope, it's gonna bother me too.
All right. Well, this is gonna be
I almost have to look it up. Give me
no,
two
all
seconds.
right, now we're on a podcast. We're watching Sean look at the phone, looking at the phone.
Edward Norton. Uh, okay, let me see. Pete Seeger. Okay, yeah.
Pete Seeger.
Which do you know Pete Seeger?
I know of him, but it sounds like music I would never listen to. Pete Seeger.
He was the predecessor of Bob Dylan. And so when Bob Dylan came along, Pete Seeger was already famous, and he sort of helped Bob Dylan get famous.
But did Bob Dylan walk around and say, "I'm Bob Dylan.
Yeah, he
Don't
did. That
touch
was
me."
that was his character. And Pete Seeger was a wimpy loser character, Edward Norton,
Oh,
a
really?
really nice loser character. Like trying to be like all, I don't know. Well, I don't know. He was very wimpy.
And the movie ends with Bob Dylan during that infamous concert, right, when he played electric.
Right.
And I bet everyone in the movie is like, "You can't go out there and play electric. What are you doing,
Well,
Bob?"
especially Pete Seeger, Edward Norton's character,
Okay.
tries to like unplug Bob Dylan's performance, like in
And
the back.
I've heard that's not really how it happened. I mean, that I know how that's how it, and it's like, "You can't do it." And Bob Dylan's like, "Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do." And then he played
Yeah,
electric,
and
right?
half of the audience really just was terribly miserable at the concert, and he didn't care. They all wanted him to do his folk music, like Blowing in the Wind, but Bob Dylan wanted to do his own thing. He had moved on from there, but people hadn't. People were still into the Blowing in the Wind stuff.
Yeah, I heard that the movie just totally overhyped the whole electric concert. You know,
Yeah.
they've always made such a big deal about that concert. Do you think Pete Seeger in real life tried to unplug the guitar?
No, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't think they would have just completely made that up.
They do it. Lot of that Elvis movie was made up. Did you see the Elvis movie?
I did.
Yeah, like as far as Tom Hanks' character,
Right.
like there's a scene where Elvis was supposed to do like a Christmas concert or on TV, and his
Hmm.
manager was like, "You got to do a Christmas concert," and Elvis was like, "No, man, I'm gonna do a different rebellious thing, and then he didn't do the Christmas stuff and he did something else. I read that that never happened, that his manager was like, go ahead and do your own thing, Elvis. And they made
Hmm.
up the whole thing about him. I don't know. I just heard they made up a lot of stuff.
Well,
And
yeah, because Tom Hanks, kind of traps him into Vegas in that movie, where and that sort of becomes the end of him, is like his downfall, is that he can't escape Vegas. Because I don't know, like in the movie at least, he gets signed against his will. And actually, it's true. It's like I want to sort of just believe what I'm watching in the movie. It's like, well, you're giving me this
that's the problem
information,
with
and
these biopics. They're
yeah,
not
it's true.
accurate
It's true. And there's so many of them. Why? Are we loving
because they have to, these days, all movies have to be existing properties. So it has to be someone who's famous already or something that was famous at one point.
Yeah.
They make these biopics over and over again.
And sequels like Gladiator 2.
Yep, like Gladiator 2, and they do it 50 years after the first one, and
Yeah,
try to get all the actors back, but they're really old now. And so it's always like,
it's
well, you
true.
can play the grandfather, and then you give the thing to a new generation.
It's true. In Gladiator 2, they have one of the senators comes back, and he was old in the first one, really old. And in this one, he's just really, really, really old, this man.
Does Joaquin Phoenix make a cameo?
No.
No, he doesn't. What happened to his character at the end of Gladiator?
Well, I guess
Because I didn't
he
finish it.
died in Gladiator.
That's right, he died. But how did he die again? I just
Yeah, Russell
watched this.
Crowe stabs him with his own knife. Joaquin
Yeah.
is like, and
In the
then and
sequel,
then Gladiator, and then like Russell Crowe, like a badass, just grabs his hand, turns it on him, and he stabs it with his own hand, I guess.
well, did he come
And then
back in the
Joaquin is
sequel
like,
and he's got like it sewn up and he's like, I can't believe that I survived getting stabbed by Russell Crowe and I'm back in a cameo.
it's a really, it's a good. I was gonna say breathtaking scene. It's breathtaking for Joaquin Phoenix, but it's a good scene because you
What,
see
his
that.
cameo?
No, no, I'm saying in the first
Well,
one,
how was the cameo? I've asked you about the cameo a million
I
times.
think if he is, because I only saw it once, if he did appear, it's just in like replays of the first one, because they do that. I think you see Russell Crowe a couple times, just like replaying
Does
the
Russell
first.
Crowe's character come back from the dead?
No, no, Russell Crowe's not in it.
So who's the new gladiator?
It's the boy from the first one.
Oh, of course. They always have to give
Man,
it to the new generation.
see,
Okay.
I am such a fan. It almost like Gladiator 2 made me less of a fan of the first one.
Really?
Yeah, but in the first one, right? So Lucius is the kid,
Right. I
and
remember
his
that.
mom is, what is her name? Like Cecilia or something. She's like she's like the queen. She's like Joaquin Phoenix's sister.
Hmm.
She would have been, you know, the next, she would have been, if she was a boy, she would have, been the Caesar. But Joaquin Phoenix's character gets that, right? But I mean, Russell Crowe is going to take it from, like Marcus Aurelius was going to give it to Maximus. But
Okay.
Joaquin Phoenix kills Marcus Aurelius to take his place, right? To like
Yes,
get.
I know. I just watched it last week.
So okay, so now Lucius comes from his mother and a man, right? And then Russell Crowe at the same time. This is interesting. I think you'll find this interesting if
I
you hear
just
me
saw
out.
the movie. You're telling
No,
me
but no, but I need
everything.
no. This is about the second one.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just giving you some background, like the audience. Okay, so Russell Crowe has his own son, and they grow up at the same time, right? Lucius is growing up, and his own son that gets killed in the first one is growing up. So they're both like 8 years old. Lucius and his son when his son gets killed, right? And in the second one, Lucius is all of a sudden Maximus's son. But like, just to me, logically, that is totally inaccurate. And I've seen Gladiator hundreds of times, and it bothers me
Well,
that like obviously like Maximus in the first one was being faithful to his wife. He loved her. That was like the whole plot was he loved his wife and he had a son with her. But yet Lucius becomes his son, which is completely wrong. I was just very upset by that.
it takes away the impact of what happens in the first movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with these stupid sequels. Like they're scrambling to find ways to continue the story when the story should have just been one story.
But the best part of the whole movie was when Denzel Washington beheads like butchers like one of the two two leading leaders, I guess. I don't even know what those brothers
And
were.
then he goes, "My man."
But no, and then he takes him, puts him in a bag, and in front of the whole Senate,
He
pulls
goes,
his head out and
"Uh-huh."
plops his head on like a like on like a platter.
And then he goes, "My man."
And then he's talking to the
Does
whole
he say
Senate.
"my man"? Just tell me. Does he
Fine.
say? I've asked you 5 times if he says "my man."
No, I don't think he does. You look like you need to go to sleep. I mean,
I'm very tired. I was driving all day. Keep going. Keep telling me the whole plot of Gladiator 2. So, uh,
so Denzel Washington has his head on a table, and he's just talking to the Senate as he's like fondling the man's face that's beheaded.
all
That's
right.
the best part of the
So he's
movie. I like it.
fondling a head in the movie. You're telling me Denzel Washington does sexual things with a head.
I feel like, well, it was almost. He's definitely enjoying it too, Denzel.
How
You
much
know,
of it was uh CGI, you think?
lots.
Lots. Was there a big explosion at some point?
Um, yeah, there was. And honestly, I don't know. I didn't like the plot. I thought it was stupid. But anyway, and the CGI of this of the honestly of the Colosseum itself was horrible. Just
Really?
horrible. It was all CGI. It had like ridiculous looking monkeys that couldn't actually exist. I felt like the first the first one, at least the CGI, it was like, okay, that's a tiger. Like they
Yeah.
could have brought a tiger.
Yeah. Well, in this one, they just have like octopus sharks or something and things
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that.
There were sharks in the Coliseum. Was what is going on here?
What? You got to be
Yeah, they
kidding.
flooded the battleground and there's like sharks going on.
And are the sharks like eating people? And
Yeah,
okay, now I want to see it.
it's so it's so absolutely over the top. That's the only reason I see it.
Exact like these movies, they always have to make the sequels bigger than the first one, and like it's just like they don't know how to tone things down.
I feel like it's like Ice Ice Baby, Vanilla Ice's movie. Like just
Oh,
see it just to see how bad it is, that kind of thing.
really? Okay. Cool as Ice. Was that
Cool
what
as
that
ice,
movie was called?
yeah, I think so.
We watched that at summer camp, and if you haven't seen Cool as Ice, it is the one of the funniest bad movies ever made. It is
Yeah,
so cringy. It is so painful to watch.
yeah.
And I think it's funny because not
It's a
long after
testament of
that,
how far we've come as a society
as a society, yeah,
that
something
we once
cool.
let that movie become a movie.
It's it's just great. If Cool as Ice, and of course there's a Ninja Rap when Vanilla Ice was in Ninja Turtles too. That's
I
another
didn't I didn't
classic.
know that. Yeah,
It's you got to watch that. It's such a bad movie.
yeah. Don't come around here, Shredder. You better get back or you're gonna get out of the weather.
And then the chorus is ninja, ninja, rap, ninja, ninja, rap, go, 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 ninja, go, ninja, go. I'm serious. That's the chorus. In fact, I want to listen to that. You should, again, we can't play it on the podcast, but after this, you should listen to Ninja Rap by Vanilla Ice.
Yeah. There was an SNL and Lin-Manuel Miranda was on it last week as a cameo. He didn't actually host the show. And I don't know who hosted the show. I was trying to figure that out because all anybody cares about is just Lin-Manuel Miranda's first appearance. Like he's in the first scene, right? Like the cold open or whatever.
Yeah.
And he plays Hamilton and I actually thought the guy that played Trump did amazing. I thought he was awesome at it.
Yeah. The new
Like
guy. I've seen him do Trump. He's pretty good.
he is good. He knows it. He's got it down. And I thought the writing was really there's a so Lin-Manuel Miranda and this whole cast of like old colloquial English people signing the Declaration of Independence. They just talk for like 15 seconds and then they freeze frame them and nobody moves this whole entire time. Trump does this big speech, like comes out, does a big speech, and including Lin Manuel Miranda, who's just sitting there like this.
Okay.
So, and it lasts for like 15 minutes. I was really impressed with all of them, especially Lin. So anyway, Trump at one point goes up to Lin Manuel Miranda and is like taunting him, trying to get him to like, break character of just the freeze frame. He's like Linny, Linny, Linny. And you can see Lin Manuel Miranda like, having trouble like keeping a straight face. It was pretty funny.
All right, I'll have to check that one out, except I don't have Peacock, which is the only way to watch SNL.
Just do YouTube. I
I'm
just watch.
sure it's on YouTube. All the
It's the only
uh,
way I saw it.
okay.
All right. What's
That sounds
next?
funny to me.
What's next? If aliens ever watch this, they'll be like, "Oh man, Earth is so boring."
Like the one at the bottom keeps cutting his face off from the camera.
He's disappearing into the
He
into the
doesn't know how to
globe.
use a webcam.
Is it me or you? I don't know.
The
You.
aliens who are looking at the flat Earth in front of them.
That
It
just
looks like a
spans
pizza
across the
box.
entire. If it's flat, where does it end? Does it end? It's got to end.
Antarctica. Nobody goes to Antarctica to check though, because nobody can, it's too cold. But that's where the edge is, and that's where the
There's just
water
there's
goes
a
into it.
waterfall.
Yeah.
There's a
No, yeah.
waterfall and penguins just whoop
Pretty much.
disappear into the
Penguins,
universe.
if you're an animal that lives there, good luck.
Is there a universe in the flat Earth theory?
I think there's a universe, but yeah, planets are flat, I think, in the universe. I don't know.
It's baffling. It's
It
baffling.
is baffling.
It's the
And
it's you know it's the fact that we all sort of just create a reality that we believe.
well, when I was a little kid, I thought the earth was flat until like I was 6. And so it's like cartoon logic to think the
Yeah,
earth would be flat.
I think the biggest reality is we're we're on a planet and we're people. It's so basic.
So basic, and they just have to complicate all of it.
And yeah, it's true. Yeah, I always worry though. I never want to impose like what I feel like is my interpretation of like reality because then I don't want to upset somebody. You know, there's plenty of guys doing that anyway. Like I watched Eraserhead in
You're like,
honor.
oh, okay. I didn't get any type of laugh or anything for that. That was classic. Did you see what I did?
It was a frog face.
Okay, but no, Sean did watch Eraserhead, which I congratulate you for that. Um, that's a hard movie to sit through.
So what happened was David Lynch passed away like last week. And so he was 78. He was almost 79. I think his birthday was only
He's
a few
kind of
days.
young these days.
Yeah.
It's youngish.
Yeah, but I mean the fact that he had such a awesome, like amazing life, probably makes up for, I guess,
Well,
having to
what
rush through
happened
his
was
80s and 90s. I'm
he
sure
was a
he's fine with it. In
he was a
heaven, he's probably like,
he was a chain smoker,
yeah,
and he got emphysema from it. That's ended up killing him. But he didn't give a shit. He just smoked everywhere. He
yeah.
was just like, I don't care. I'm gonna smoke. I mean, you shouldn't smoke, but I commend him for that. He did what he
So
wanted.
Houston's father was David Lynch's roommate in college, which is amazing. And they both had extraordinary lives, both David Lynch and Houston's father, in like culture, So Houston's father was an artist, David Lynch was a movie director, but they both made art. I mean, if you watch David
Yeah,
Lynch's film, it's art.
David Lynch started as a painter.
Mm,
So when he met my dad in college, they were both painters. Like
mm.
David, and then David Lynch was looking at one of his paintings one time and he said, I wonder what it would be like if it moved. And then that's when he started doing film. And then he got more into that. But he started as a painter, which is why that movie has such a, I don't know, weird quality to it, I think.
I feel like David Lynch is like the Quentin Tarantino's of like the 70s, or even Jay and Silent Bob, like Silent Bob. I forget that guy's name, but
Kevin,
probably
S-
Bob.
Kevin
Kevin
Smith,
Smith. Yeah.
who made Clerks, which I think is a classic.
Yeah, I think Kevin Smith was sort of they come from like the directors like David Lynch before them, which are just making weird
He
movies.
was influenced by David Lynch, Kevin Smith. It was one
Yeah,
of
I bet he
his
was.
influence.
Yeah, it reminds me of
And
it.
Clerks, I like Clerks because it's so gritty looking. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like he filmed it basically with like the cheapest cameras you could get,
yeah.
and he just what the way he funded the movie was is he kept buying things with credit cards, and he incurred all this credit card debt. That's
That's
how
a
he
risk.
financed it. And I just think it's a cool story because he made that movie for like almost nothing, and then it became his big hit, the first
Yeah.
movie he ever made,
Yeah. Amazing.
because the script was so awesome.
So David Lynch passed away, and I did in honor of that night. I wore a Houston sweater which he gave me for
Which he
Christmas.
hasn't watched. Every time I look at a picture of Sean, he's wearing it.
I know I'm like sweating in my pits a little bit right now, and it and so and then I just watched Eraserhead with it on, and I just gave homage to the genius. It was genius, really is. I mean, it's weird.
Yeah, I
You
love it. It's my second favorite movie of all time.
I was glad Houston told me it was a nightmare because that made sense why it made no sense.
Yeah, it's just a yeah. It's I mean that's all you have to. That's the only way to describe it to somebody. Like if someone
Yeah,
asks you what Eraserhead's about, it's a nightmare. I don't know. It's a
yeah, it's
weird dinosaur baby goat thing, and it's just great. You know, I watched it when I was a teenager, and I
mm,
didn't get it. And
right.
then I remember I was 19 and I was living in this apartment in Westchester. I
Mm,
was in this dark apartment by myself and I was really depressed about something. I don't remember what it was. Um, and just all of a sudden, I just decided to watch Eraserhead that night and it just hit. It was like, oh, okay, because you have to be in that, I had to be in a mood. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It helps if you're in a certain kind of mood.
yeah. I find that if I ever rewatch something nowadays that was for an adult and I was a kid, I'm like, oh, that's all this stuff. Like, all this stuff that I just did not get back then.
Oh, yeah.
I just get it now.
It's a good movie that you can watch it when you're an adult. It's just as good the second time.
Yeah, I had seen Blue Velvet. I don't remember it, but Houston did show it to me once. I do
I didn't
remember.
show you the whole thing. I showed you like the beginning, I remember.
Right.
And then
I remember Dennis Hopper with his little oxygen thing going on and something with the woman, but I don't remember it very well.
it's a disturbing movie, but Blue Velvet is probably his most coherent movie.
No,
It's
Elephant Man.
or Elephant Man is. Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I would say Elephant Man is probably his most like normal, socially sort of acceptable that
Yeah.
like good, good people that are like wanting to see like important films are gonna see Elephant Man.
Yeah, Elephant Man was very different from a lot of his other movies in that way. And that was it was kind of I mean, obviously the Elephant Man himself is kind of disturbing looking and David Lynch in, but other than that, it was a pretty simple, straightforward story.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins when he was young. And I love that actor. I really do love him. You know, every word of wisdom he offers to the world, I soak in because I love him so much.
Yeah, he was great. Um,
He was great as the Hannibal Hannibal Lecter.
did did you and I go to see the sequel where Ray Liotta
Yeah,
gets
and we've talked
brains?
about it on
Oh, we
these
did. We talked
podcasts.
about this last time, didn't we?
He eats brains, yeah.
You should talk about it in every podcast.
Actually, there's a part in Eraserhead that has you know, brains involved. And then I think, well,
Yeah.
anyway, I don't want to ruin it for somebody that wants to go see it because it
Yeah. I
was
mean, it's impossible to ruin the plot, but if you haven't seen it, go see it.
yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed it that night.
Good, good. Because again, some people cannot sit through Eraserhead the whole time. Some people just they can't handle it.
I think the next day when I was trying to eat food, I got a little sick to my stomach because I was still thinking about it.
Or they're squirting the chickens and black ink is coming out or whatever.
Or just any part of it. Like the worms was gross. There was a lot of gross things in it, you know.
Yeah, those stop motion worms were freaked me out.
I kept wanting him, and this is all I'll say, is I wanted him, Henry, the main character, I wanted him to give a worm to the sick baby dinosaur thing. Like it seemed very connected. There was a sick dinosaur baby and a worm that he got him. Like, just give it to him, see if it makes him better.
Yeah, I guess he didn't make that connection. Like,
Or it just didn't need to, yeah, it didn't need to happen. It
or
wasn't the
um,
same.
well, I mean, what do the words have to do with anything when you think about it?
Yeah, exactly.
It
And
took him 5 years to make that movie.
mm,
5 years because he kept running out of money.
and who was the lady in the furnace?
Um,
With she had like, hemorrhoids on her cheeks.
yeah, yeah. Like who? I don't remember who the actress was, but like, what did she signify?
Yeah, what was
I've
that?
I've heard that she's supposed to represent heaven or
Oh,
something. You get
hmm,
it's people who read really into this movie. And she's singing that song in heaven.
hmm.
Do, 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 do. She's that's supposed to be the radiator's heaven, maybe. I don't know.
And she's at the end, right? Like in white. It's
David
like
Lynch, yeah, refuses to tell anybody what the movie means. He has never told anybody.
it's not, yeah, it's not so, and I bet in many ways it probably has a lot of things that really aren't supposed to have any meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Like some of it is just not supposed to mean anything. It's
It
just,
sort of reminds me of Chris Cornell was asked a lot when he was alive. He was asked about that Black Hole Sun because that was one of his biggest songs. And they're like, "What's the meaning? What's the meaning?" And he's like, "It's just words. There's no meaning.
that's
I
what
just
Kurt
put
Cobain
words."
said too. Kurt Cobain said the same thing.
Yeah,
Like
my,
when you
my
think of,
favorite thing, my favorite thing that Kurt Cobain at least is quoted for is he says that I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. Such a poignant thing to say. I honestly believe that.
like lyrics like a mosquito, a libido. Hey, like
Yeah,
that doesn't mean anything. And he said it doesn't mean anything. And everyone took it like to think the song is about like teenage angst or something, but he's just like, I just made that shit up.
yeah. You just want to, it was the for I think probably both of them. It was the blend of them screaming, hard guitars, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I loved grunge. I really did. Not necessarily Nirvana as much, but I don't mind them. I think they're fine.
Yeah, I think they're good. I think they're a little bit overrated, but that's another topic.
At least they did open the door for like all of those
Yeah,
bands.
they were an important band. Either way you look at it, they were really important. I mean,
Yeah,
like, for years after Nirvana, they changed rock music basically for the few years.
absolutely. And I think it's because Kurt Cobain had a very persistent need for fame, and he was able to I think, climb the celebrity ladder because of his ability to sort of persist, you know.
He persisted for a little bit and then he
Yeah,
stopped persisting.
yeah.
So you
Because
get
of what was the lady's name?
Courtney Love.
Yeah, who was like, okay, I'm gonna put this gun on his foot.
No, Courtney Love didn't kill Kurt Cobain. That is not what happened. That's
Okay,
what
fine.
flat earthers think. They think on this flat planet, I mean, there's the speculation.
Right.
Maybe but I don't think she did. I read the biography on Kurt Cobain, and he kind of
Just
fantasized about doing
and he
that.
had a lot of pain. I heard he
Yeah,
had a lot of back pain
he had a
and just
stomach problem too. That was the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, and he had trouble eating.
right.
Why he was so skinny, and
Yeah,
also
he was
heroin. But
right. He was extremely yeah. And then there's the idea that Tupac is somewhere on the beaches in Mexico. But if you think about that idea at this point, he would just be like a really old man. He'd be like a grandpa somewhere, you know?
Tupac wouldn't have been able to have stayed on that island for this many years without popping out and saying, "Ah, I'm back."
Yeah,
It's just what it's not when is in his. You ever watched a documentary on Tupac? He was so attention starved. Like, there's no
yeah.
way he would be on an island just waiting, like, they're all still talking about me.
He had an epiphany. He changed.
No.
He's like, guys, I'm sorry. I just don't want to be in the spotlight anymore. All right, we'll stage your murder and send you to Mexico. But I don't know. I know that's bull, you know. And Biggie obviously also like was murdered.
Yeah, they were
And
both murdered.
and Sean Diddy Combs is in total trouble with everything.
Well, yeah, people think that he had something to do with the uh the murder of Biggie. Eminem said it on his new album.
Hmm. Does
He,
he?
he thinks that Diddy is somehow connected to Biggie's murder. I mean, that
Weird.
Puffy, whatever his fucking name is, P.
Right.
Diddy
Yeah.
is somehow connected with the murder of Tupac and Biggie.
I always felt really bad for Mace because he was sort of like the crony of Puffy.
Mace stalked.
He did.
That's what Mace sounded like, and he was famous for 2 years. And then P. Diddy's like, bad boy.
But when we were getting into rap,
We
that
had
was
Mace.
we had no idea who was good or bad. We just picked somebody and and one of them was Mace.
Yeah, I was at this new school where rap was super popular, and Mace was what was hip cool then, right?
Right.
We didn't know any better, and I was big into Puff Daddy and like Bad Boy Records, and
Hmm.
I had Mace. I think you had that same CD, Harlem
Yeah.
World. That's I don't haven't listened to it since then, but I don't know if it just seemed like garbage to me now.
Well,
Uh,
I mean, I still watch some of the videos of him and Puffy with Biggie. You
with the
watch it
shiny
for
suits.
you watch it for Biggie's parts, but then you get their parts and it's like, oh, these guys suck.
Yeah, yeah. And we used to be a big fan of him.
It's true, yeah. And like I'll be out in Jersey puffing Hershey. What does that mean? Like, are you gonna smoke a chocolate bar?
Sean doesn't know that Hershey is slang for marijuana.
Is it?
I get maybe back then it was, but I mean,
I think they just needed to rhyme. It's like, okay, we need a rhyme with Jersey and actually I feel like for such a small place, Pennsylvania has a lot of fame, you know, see it a lot.
Pennsylvania is a big place.
Yeah, but I mean like Philly too, especially like around that area, you know.
Pennsylvania is a huge state.
Yeah. People don't know it, but it's my state. They just don't know it. They're like, Where's Sean? We haven't seen him in a while."
Anyway, we've been talking for 50 minutes.
All right, well, let's call it.
50 minutes.
All
I think
right.
that's, yeah,
Most of it you've had your eyes closed like this.
I'm so tired. I am so tired. I've been in a car all day.
What happened? You went from Jersey? Why were you in the car all
I go to
day?
Jersey a lot. I have friends out there, but I'm not far from Jersey either. It's only 20 minutes away, but it's just driving back and forth, and someone who doesn't have a car, and I had to drive them back to their place. It was a whole thing.
Well, good night. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Good
Good
night,
night,
Mr.
ladies and gentlemen.